Parenting after separation can be an interesting concept. Two people come together, they fall in love, they have children, and unfortunately, things don't go as well as they hoped. Forever after is not their reality. Now they have children in the picture to take care of, because even though they're not together anymore, there's a mutual interest. How many of us are really able to put our differences aside and focus on the best interest of the children? That is exactly what we're here to discuss today. My name is Becca, aka the Serenadian, your Dim Din podcast host.
The Dim Din Podcast, a safe space to talk about misconceptions, perceptions, assumptions, and frustrations. Join us for conversations and stories that explore how embracing our differences leads to a balanced, strong, and harmonious world.
With me today, I have our beautiful guest, Opeyemi, who is an emotional health practitioner. She's a registered social worker. She's the founder of Standing Tall Together Foundation, which is a non-for-profit dedicated to supporting the BIPOC individuals and families here in Edmonton and beyond. With over 14 years of experience working with families, she's passionate about shifting perspectives on single parent and blended families, breaking down stigma and advocating for emotional well-being. Through her work, she empowers families to embrace their unique journeys with confidence and support. Join me all to welcome the beautiful Opeyemi.
Thank
you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
Was there anything that I missed that you want to add?
We're good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you had an experience,
Yes.
you saw a need, and you decided to do something about that need. First of all, before you tell us about this need, can you, for those who do not know, tell us what BIPOC is?
So BIPOC is essentially Black, Indigenous, and people of color.
Aha.
So our organization aims to support a broad spectrum of people, and we know, right, we're focused on like underserved minorities, those kind of classifications, because we want to bring the issues out to light, and so that's why we went with BIPOC.
Beautiful.
So we can support as much families as we can.
It's catchy too. BIPOC. BIPOC.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about how this all started. What inspired it?
The organization, right? Essentially, it's based out of, it came from lived experience of being, at one point married, becoming a single parent for a couple of years, and then through the journey of my life, ending up, remarrying, and, now I'm in a blended family where we have one daughter together. And I just see the dynamics. I see the struggle. I see like the lack of knowledge in terms of just what people understand around what does being a single parent even mean. Was, there's a lot of misconceptions around being a single parent or, father, mother. There's a lot of misconception and a lot of shame that is attached to the experience. Personally, I went through that as well. So if I speak for myself and speak for so many other families that I know, essentially it is like, you experience a bit of shame. You experience like you failed. So there's a lot of, stigma associated with that. And then you come out into the community and you're also feeling like you're being judged by literally everyone, right? So it's a lot of navigating those pieces. And essentially that's where the Standing Tall Together Foundation came from. It's been a dream of mine for many, many years that I kind of put aside, but I kept hearing the whisper. And it just kept coming, and I'm like, well, I didn't want to be a poster child for, single parents. And as much as I'm an advocate, I didn't want to be the poster child. But after a while, I'm like, why not if not?
Ooh,
right?
Can we pause for a second?
Why not if not, right? I experienced it.
I love that.
It's my story. It's something that I know a lot of, some people in my circle that also experienced that. I've heard stories of, you know, just a lot of things regarding single parents, blended families, those dynamics. And I also have the knowledge and the background to match it. So in my head, it made sense. But it was just something that I was putting away, putting off for a long time until last year, the whisper did not go. And at that point, I took a bite and I'm like, okay, we're just gonna figure this out. And then we got the organization registered and we're here today.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Wow. 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 I need to take all of that in. But one thing that I hear from what you say as well is that, like, when you talk about shame and guilt, sometimes there's a lot of internal shame that comes with, like when you say, I didn't want to be the poster child. So you making that decision to be the poster child after all, because why not?
Yes.
Right? I wonder if that's also sort of like an internal resolution that people can choose to shame me, but I am not going to shame myself. This is an experience that I'm going to hold on to.
Exactly. It's part of my story.
Beautiful.
Right? And it's a beautiful story. Out of each phase of, you know, being married, going to the separation, yes, it was a painful period, but there's a lot of, like, you know, good things that came out of it. And if I had to share my story, someone asked me to share my story, that is part of my story. So why not get in front of it and empower other people?
Beautiful.
Let them see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, even though it might, you know, depending on what phase you are in that journey, it might look like it's, you know, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, but just showing people that it is possible to thrive. It is possible to regain yourself. It's possible to find yourself again. It's possible to, like, really achieve whatever it is that you dream of achieving. It would take time, but it's very possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as I hear you say this, then something that stands out for me is for you to have to create something. It tells me that when you needed it, maybe there was not anything that would support that need that you had. Would that be a reasonable assumption?
I would say yes.
Okay.
While there are community supports in, you know, Edmonton, in terms of, like, supports for single parents and things like that, culturally there wasn't something that I connected with on the on the cultural level or with my people.
I love that.
Right? So it's in different spaces, and you don't, the connection that is made to your story is not the same. Right? So that's where, you know, we're like, let's bring it, like, let's do this organization, let it be our people. And then we can connect and really understand each other on the more deeper level. And we can continue to foster sisterhood, continue to support each other, whatever that might look like.
Woo.
So,
Woo.
yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so it's for both men and women.
It is for both men and women.
Okay.
And where that came about from is the fact that a lot of organizations that we've seen, it's either you're supporting men separately,
Or women.
and you're supporting women separately.
Aha.
But, you know, the idea is we are in the struggle together. So let's bring women with similar experiences, or who've had, it might not be similar in terms of just how it happened, but something that's relatable. Let's bring the women in, let's bring the men in, and so that we can understand each other. So we can understand, the pressure points that we feel. We can understand where we're coming from when it comes to the way that maybe we are sharing our thoughts, sharing our ideas, and things like that. So let's have that collaborative conversation.
Because we have more similarities than differences after all.
After all.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So coming to that whole piece of, like, two people separated being able to co-parent together amicably, non-judgmentally, hopefully. I don't know, but I am from the Sierra Leone community, and holy smokes, I tell you, it's a huge, I don't want to call it a crisis necessarily, but to an extent I feel like it is. It's a huge crisis within our community where people struggle to put the child first, right? So this organization definitely, like, you're dealing with like the external judgments and stuff, but can you speak to the need for that collaboration between the separated two?
Okay. So in that sense, the collaboration needs to happen, especially when you have kids involved.
Okay.
Because it's all tied to children's emotional well-being. It's tied to their stress management level, even emotional regulation. It's tied to even their education. So a lot of, being in alignment and parenting cooperatively with each other, it has a lot of more positive impact than
100%.
it does negative impact. So that's why it's very important to collaborate and, co-parent in a healthy way.
Right.
Yes.
What are some of the realities that you've seen in that?
The reality is, I'll speak from my experience.
Okay.
And I will represent some of the
A lot of
beautiful people that I've spoken to in the research that we conducted while we were going ahead with this process.
Beautiful.
And, it is right now a lot of, talks around when it comes to, first of all, co-parenting, when it comes to like child support. That's an issue that is really big in the African community, right? Because the financial piece, right? Child support, trying to decide the parenting, agreement, right? How long does a child spend with me? How long does a child spend with you? It's important to always think about what's best for the child in those kind of scenarios.
Especially when somebody new is in the picture. Like when maybe mom has a boyfriend or dad has
Yes.
Okay.
So it's very important that we were able to have these conversations, right? So there is also that input of like, this is what's happening with that person. So because that's happening, I'm gonna put my guard up. So maybe, for example, a couple, they're going through separation, and that man, for some reason, was chased out of the house for some reason, and the woman is now in control. Like some people will say it in our culture, right? Like the woman chased the man out of the house, and she's in the house, and I have to pay for this house that I'm not living in, without understanding the concept of, right? It's not why it happened, first of all, because it takes two. So that's why it happened, and because of what's best for the children. Because majority of the time, the woman is the one caring for the child.
Yes.
And I'm not dismissing that there are fathers that are single parents or that are, up to par when it comes to, taking charge of, taking care of kids, following up with school and all of that stuff. But the research shows that it's at least 70% women who are like taking charge of those things in a separation or divorce. So that's, again, the reason why this kind of conversations need to happen, right? The research also showed, right, when it comes to, even in Canada, as of 2021, right, about 28% of households are Black single parent or single families.
Wow.
So that's 2021. Now, fast forward to 2025. What number would that look like? So we really need to start having this conversation, because if we can bring in supports, do parent education, do support groups, just bring things in to like enlighten us, that would help with the people that maybe are going to experience this in the future, knowing that they can have support, knowing that, whatever, like knowing that there's a place they can come to and have a conversation about this, and basically set up themselves for success rather than failure, right? So those are just the things that, that we want to talk about.
Absolutely. And I can see where, because a lot of separations do not go smoothly. Like, I find within our African culture, one thing we struggle to do is communicate. Like, let's sit down, let's talk about what's not going well. If it's not working for us, let's go our separate ways, but let's prioritize the children. It, most of the time, would end up really bad. And that's where that power struggle comes in.
Yes.
Where it's like, I will make sure you don't sleep well. You never have peace.
Yeah.
And the children are dismissed in the picture, because I feel like if I fix you, or if I deprive the children of something, or if I don't give you money or stuff like that, then I'm showing you who is in charge here. And I see a lot of that in my community, which I think is a big struggle, and which I think also contributes heavily to why your organization is very beneficial. Do you see a lot of that come through your door?
We do as well.
Okay.
Right. Again, it's a Black community. And, again, no divorce or, separation period is easy. And while it is a process, right, it's always important to remember, especially, again, when kids are involved, right? Whatever amount you're paying is not about you. It's not about the person that you're paying it to. You have to think about it's for the care of your child, who is in the care of that person. There's that misconception of, if I'm paying support to this child, to this mom or whatever, and again, it does go vice versa. Sometimes the woman is the one paying support, depending on income levels.
I don't see a lot of that.
It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And we want to have you, again, it's, how can we just make sure that we're doing things in a way that we're thinking about the kids?
The child.
And, again, process your grief, process the separation ending, go to counseling, do what you have to do for your own mental health. But when it comes to the children, we need to align and be on the same page. Again, we know what the benefits are for that child that's involved.
Beautiful,
right.
Beautiful. Because this child did not ask you guys to make the decisions that you made. So
exactly.
keep the child out of your problems.
We need to do that.
Keep the child out of the problems.
Yeah.
Okay. So to briefly speak to, what should people expect when they do come to your organization?
So when people come to organization, they can expect to get a listening ear. Okay. Someone that can...
Like therapy?
Well, counseling.
Okay.
So not therapy, but counseling. I do emotional health, counseling. There are different modalities of what that could look like. But that's not, if we need to do that, we'll do that. But it's more around resource sharing. So if they come, we would be able to share resources about what's available. We hope to also have in the future some form of, training for when you're transitioning from being separated to now maybe going into a blended family, to have some kind of, a course that's available for you guys to attend, again, from the cultural lens of things, to prepare you for that process. Again, trying to make sure that we can land in a good place, and, just if you land well, right, you can have a good starting point, right? Life is gonna, be what it's gonna be. It's gonna life, but can we equip ourselves so that we can start well?
I love that.
Right, so you can expect that, and some parenting, support group, parenting education, support group, especially for both men and women. Obviously, the caveat is, depending on what your relationship has been like, right? If you were abused or, mentally, emotionally, whatever that looks like, we want to get you, physically and all that, additional supports by connecting you to organizations that can help with that therapy, those 100%. Kind of things. But yeah, it's going to be case by case, but we hope to be able to support a plethora of people.
Beautiful,
right.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think something that I'd like for you guys to consider, if you haven't got that already, is there's also, I find there's a lot of people that I speak with that are not comfortable with that custody battle, because it's this is not an African thing, right? And it can get really messy, and we don't go through that. So sometimes the men would say, or the woman would say, whoever is trying to hold on to the child, the other partner would say, it's okay. When that child is at so-and-so, they'll come find me. Or maybe mom would say, if you don't give me anything, that's fine. I would show you that I can take care of my child without you anyways. So I think some education around maybe the benefits of utilizing that system, or maybe a culturally appropriate system that would step in place for that, maybe something to consider, or you guys already have that in place?
It's a good idea.
Okay.
We don't have that in place yet, but again, right, as the program expands, we will be, that's a very, very great idea. It's a very great concept, how we're going to make it work. Because again, right now, there is mediation available. When you're going through separation and things like that, there is mediation that you can do that's overseen by a mediator. And you get to, stipulate what you would like to see to move forward. But I mean, the only caveat too is, taking things personally as a father or as a mother, right? Thinking it's better to think about what's best for the child. And if you think from that lens, if the father was saying, okay, majority of the time with me because of XYZ, it's good to be able to take a step back, even as a woman, to say, okay, I think that makes sense. And whatever it is, at the end of the day, again, it's about the child. So let's try to work together. And again, the court system also does their own processes where it's, the calculation of income, like what you're paying for child support and things like that.
Right.
Perhaps even us being able to come with an alternatives.
Right.
Right. Changing the narrative around, that child support. What does that really mean? I feel like a lot of people in our community, they don't understand what that is intended for. What they go to thinking is, I'm paying child support. So whenever my ex has her nails done, it's my money that she's using. I'm paying child support. I bought your ex bought a new car. It's your child support money that she used to buy the car. And even if that's the case, the narrative should be, right, I provided this support. And that's led to her being able to get a better car that's safer for my child to ride in.
How does the child benefit?
That's where we need to think about, right?
Wonderful.
Because again, your child is being cared for, right, adequately. Again, it's case by case.
Case by case.
Because, when mental health is involved, when a lot of emotions is running, even as a woman, you struggle. Yeah. Right. And as a man, you struggle
and men
too.
Struggle too.
Yes, they struggle too.
Lot,
and the major thing for them too is they don't share their struggles.
Exactly.
I feel like women, what we do better at connecting with each other or trying to just talk to somebody, while a man, right, they don't really share as much. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so they internalize the pain that they're feeling, and it has to have an outlet.
Beautiful, beautiful,
right?
Beautiful. I so wish we had a lot of time for this conversation because there's so much to say about this. But I definitely think we would have a part 2 of this conversation. But to round up, can you please just tell viewers how to connect with you? Do they need to pay anything?
No.
Like just the brief basics of connecting with you.
All right. So to connect with us, you can reach us. We are on Google, actually. If you do a Google search of Standing Tall Together Foundation, you should be able to find us, and our contact information is there. On Instagram, we are Standing Tall Together Foundation, but FDN. So you can find us there as well. We will be coming out to the community. We have a bunch of events coming up as well. So please, if you hear about us, come join us. We'll be glad to have a discussion and, meet as many people as we can in the community.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Opeyemi. We've got you. If you're going through a separation, if you're going through a divorce, you have a child, you don't know how to parent the child in this new chapter, an organization has been created to support you, because not only do they have the professional experience to do so, they also have the personal experience. They hear you, they see you, they want to hold hands with you. You don't have to do this alone. Thank you all for making time to listen to our brief conversation today. We definitely look forward to having an extended conversation of this very topic. But until then, I am your host, Becca, and Sabe Sandimdin.